Hi guys, it's me again. I'm back. I did my whip parade earlier today, and then I took a nap. I ate some lunch, I took a nap. But now I'm going to do my 2021 wrap up and my 2022 plans. And I'm a little bit of a hot mess, but I'm going to try not to look like one. Okay, so 2021, today's December 31st, 2021. It's New Year's Eve. Um, it's getting close to 5:30 here on the West Coast. And 2021 was kind of an up and down year. Um, I didn't stitch as much as I hoped to or could have, or as much as I did in other years, but it wasn't too bad. I think in a lot of ways it was better than 2020. I think my stitchy bug was a little more consistent in 2021 than it was in 2020. 2020 was a tough year, it really was. 2021 was a little, as far as stitching goes, it was a little bit better. Um, so I'm going to show you the things that I worked on and the things that I finished, and then I'll show you a little bit and talk a little bit about my plans for 2022. Um, I have some pieces that I did a lot of work on, and some pieces I pulled out for one challenge. There was most of them. There was a spring baskets challenge back in April in the Daily 30 group, and there were several pieces I got pulled out because they fit that challenge, and I put like 300 stitches in them, and that's it. And they didn't get any more love the rest of the year. There's some pieces that got 1,000 stitches, or you know, a little more than that challenge worth. They got a few challenges, but not a whole lot of progress. And then there's some that I really put a lot of I really put a lot of work into. So, but let's start with the ones that got the least amount of work. Um, and you can the fabric and all those details are in my whip parade. You can go back and watch my whip parade. Um, but this is Under the Evergreen by Teresa Winslow. This got a whopping 200 stitches, and it was this month. All I did on it this year was these two blocks right here. That's all I did. I was gonna do some more, and I never did it. I was gonna try to get to 500, and I never did it. So there's Under the Evergreen. My goal for this next year is to finish this page up here where this tree is, and to put the border on this page and this bottom page down here, page 3. This is page 1. That's page 3. So this is going to be a focus piece for next year. We'll talk more about that later. This piece, let me show you the picture of this piece because you're not going to be able to. Well, let's start with, this is Under the Evergreen. That's what that looks like. And this piece is Joy in the Journey. This is by Leisure Arts. And you can get it on their website. It's like $5 on their website. The PDF. This only got 200 or 300 stitches for the Spring Baskets Challenge, and I never pulled it out again. So there's that. This is This is Trade Winds by, can you see that? By Teresa Winslow. I thought I had this turned down, but I do. Uh, Trade Winds by Teresa Winslow. I had intended to do more work on this year. This was, I was using this for the alphabet bet in Semi-Sane, where you're supposed to pick a piece that had an alphabet and do one of the letters every 2 weeks. And I did it for a while, but I fell off the wagon. So that's where that is. You can see I fell off at H. Actually, I fell off at D, and I went back and made up E through H, and then I never went back to it. And I also put some work into the mermaid. Every time I would do one of the letters, I would find a prompt, usually in Daily 30. I would find a prompt that it fit into, and then I would just do the letter and then make up the stitches. Whatever I needed for the prompt, I would make up the difference on the mermaid. So this got some work, but not a ton. Also discovered a mistake in the mermaid, and I'm going to have to deal with that at some point. It is undecided if this is going to come out next year. This is, and I'm sorry if you watch the Whip Parade, this is a little bit repetitive, but this is A Stitch for Sweet Freedom by Lindy Stitches. This got used for a few challenges. I put 1,000 stitches or more than 1,000 stitches into this year. In fact, this was a piece that I started last December. I did the 200 stitches I needed to get it into No New Starts. And so when I started it, the 200 stitches got me, it said, being kind, 2 more, and I think it got me a little bit of the 4 on here. It got me the being kind, 2 more, and a little bit extra after that. But everything else in it, I did this year. I finished the lettering, I did the embroidery hoop and the thread at the top. And you can't really see it, but I did a little bit of her. I did a little bit of her flag, the white and her flag right here. This piece came out for the Spring Baskets Challenge. This is not a favorite of mine to work on. This is His Eyes on the Sparrow by Heartstring Samplery. This is not a favorite because of the, well, it's a combination of the Picture This Plus fabric and the over one. Picture This Plus fabric is beautiful, but it shrinks in the dye process, and the holes are really tiny, and I'm doing it over one, so it's just kind of painful. So that's all I've done, and this only got 300 stitches, I think. The chart was also a problem, but I solved that by buying the PDF. Beth Twist has all of her, or most of her designs available as PDFs at this point. So I went on there and bought the PDF. It works in Pattern Keeper, which, thank goodness, it was a lot better. It didn't really solve the problem with the over one or the teeny tiny holes on the fabric, but it made it a lot easier to read. Okay, now these, let's do a little bit of shuffling here. These are the pieces that got a little more attention this year. This actually is not one of them. This I brought out late in the year, and I honestly don't think I've put 1,000 stitches in it. I think I've only put 600 or 800 stitches in it. But this is The Littlest Fairy Story Keep. Artwork by Selena Fennick, charted by Hade. I brought this out like in September, and I don't think I've put 1,000 stitches in. I've done a little bit of work on her. But she's definitely on the list for next year. She's going to be a finish next year. I'm 70% done with her. All right, maybe I won't have to sneeze anymore. So we have Littlest Fairy. This one got quite a bit of attention this year. This was I used this for the zombie run at the beginning of the year. This is Three Things by Moira Blackbird. And this, I'll show you when I open this here. I call this my tablecloth because it's huge. This actually, I did most of this year. When I started it, this year I had the green part of the border, and I had this green here. Actually, I don't even think I had all of it. I had this leaf, the stem, and I had this flower partially filled in, and everything else I did this year. The lettering, the pink flowers. I think I did some of this green border this year. The leaf motif down there, the flower motif at the bottom down there. All the flowers in the border. I did all the rest of it this year. And I gotta finish. This is a finish on page 1. So this is definitely gonna come out to play next year. And see how big this is? It's like huge. I'll mess with that later. Okay. This I already showed. Okay. This has also gotten a lot of, well, it feels like it's gotten a lot of attention. It's probably not even 1,000 stitches. But it goes fast because it's not very big. So this is an old guild project. This is Renaissance by Margaret Bendig. And I pulled this out in October. And so this is where I've gotten on it. I started out with, I needed to do that flower and then everything else I've done this year. This is a plan for a finish next year. This was a new start at the end of last year. I started this because I wanted it in No New Starts. Because I'm passing the chart along when I'm done. And so I wanted to get it finished. And this is, well, you can see what it is. But I'll show you the whole design. This is Moon Garden by Blackbird Designs. And so that's where I am. This is a focus right now. I'm probably going to focus a lot on this in January. I talk about this in my whip parade too. Just a few days ago when I was working on it, I got to that point where I was like, I can see the end. Like all of a sudden it was like I'm at the top of the hill and now it's just all downhill. And I can see the end. I can see myself finishing this. So, and I have a challenge where I need to do 2,000 stitches, and starting tomorrow it's going to have to be on one project. So, it's probably going to be on this one. I have one more that I might use, but I think I'm probably going to use this one. Just because I am like, if I did 2,000 stitches on this, it might not get me to the finish, but it would get me really close. Like, okay, and this last one, this was a new start last year. This is Silver Moon Tea by Mirabilia. I started this with some friends last year. And um, she was a focus at the beginning of the year, and I got kind of tired of her and I put her away. So that's where I got to on her. I kind of got to that point on her. I was using her for a monthly challenge where I had to work on her every month. And every time it was time to pull her out, I was like, ugh. So I finally switched her out. I was like, I'm done with her. So, all right. So, finishes. That is what I made progress on this year. It was a year of no new starts, so there were no new starts. I did not start anything. I'm starting something tomorrow, and I'm very excited. I've been ready for a good, like, 3 months for no new starts to be over. And I kind of feel like, I've made it so far, and I hate to break it, so I'm going to keep at it, but I'm really ready for it to be over. Okay, so what I finished this year, in July, this was July 10th, I finished my Raspberry Homecoming. This is Raspberry Homecoming by Marilyn Levitt Umblum, Butternut Road. This is part of her Butternut Road series. No, I'm wrong. This is part of her. I think this is part of Told in the Garden, actually. This is part of the Told in the Garden series. I'm not really sure. But there's Raspberry Homecoming. I started this in 2019, in November of 2019, with a bunch of friends. And there's a few of us that have finished it. Lisa Lane at Shady Tree Stitches finished hers. And my friend Laura finished hers. Lisa is already stitching on the companion. There's another one called Blueberry Homecoming, which Lisa is already working on. Laura and I are going to start it together next year. This I finished in August. This is Jane Austen by Modern Folk Embroidery. This, I stitched it in 934. And if you're familiar with the pattern, you know that it has letters on the bottom. It has the alphabet on the bottom, and I did not do them because I do not have enough fabric. So I did the top, and I think it's just fine that way. So I finished this in August. on August 23rd or 24th, maybe. This I finished in October. I finished this on October 25th. This is an old whip. I started this in 2006. This is Quaker Game Board by Papillon Creations. And this was an old whip. And now it's all done. I can kind of see them on the computer. I hope you can see some of it at home. But the squares, they may look blank, but they actually have the alphabet in it. I can see some of the alphabet on the top. I hope you can see that. And there's some squares that have the numbers in them. And there's a square with my initials in it and the year 2021 in it. And so I finished this in October. And it was nice to knock an old project off of my web list. And the last thing that I finished this year, I finished my oldest whip. My oldest whip is probably older than a few of you. And this is a old kit from Jamlin called Victorian Village Ornaments. And I started it in 1994. I was in high school. And it sat there. I did two of them. In fact, I'll show you the two that I did when I was in high school. I did the candy store. And I did the yellow and blue house. And I actually had started on the next one. And then I don't know what happened. I stopped working on it. I don't know if I got distracted by something else. I don't know why I stopped working on it. But it sat there and sat there and sat there for years and years. And then I tried to pull it out. And like at some point, 2015, 2016, at some point, I tried to pull it out. And I was missing a bunch of thread. And I was like, this is going to be a problem. And so I was aware that there was a problem. And I wasn't sure how I was going to fix it. And then I tried to pull it out again. And I'm like, okay, well, the only way to fix it is just to kit it up in DMC. So if I'm going to finish it, I'm going to have to kit it up in DMC. And I did that. And so at the beginning of 2020, when I was still working in the office full time, I made it my work project. I took it to work and I frogged what I had of the next ornament because I had made some mistakes and also I couldn't match the colors because I had been using the kit thread and I didn't have the kit thread. The part that was there, I couldn't match it up to the list because I had used some of it and the number of strands didn't match up anymore. And I was like, I'm just going to kit it up in DMC. So I frogged what I had, and that's the next one I stitched. I stitched the firehouse. And then when I was working in the office full time, I did the firehouse, I did the gazebo, and I stitched but not backstitched this house. This is one of my favorites, the blue and white one. I stitched and not backstitched this one. And then we got sent home because of the pandemic, and it sat there for another 6 months, sometime late in 2020, maybe August. I pulled it out, and I don't even know what I did, but I started working on it after that, and I backstitched the blue and white house, and then I did the village store. This is sort of a rust orange, yellow, and green. I like this one. This one looks like a gingerbread house, the brown and the yellow. This one, I was surprised When you might even think so here. When you see it on the package, it looks like it's yellow with like a dark gray or a brown or a black, but it's actually a green. Um, I was surprised when I pulled it out that it's green, and it actually matches my high school colors. And then the schoolhouse, which I think is completely adorable, and the lighthouse, and another favorite of mine, the church. So this was my oldest whip, and I finished it in 2021, and I was very excited about that. And we had a whole little finishing party on virtual stitchers. Um, so there were my finishes. Plans for 2022. Um, I think I'm gonna have to sneeze again. Um, 2022, of course, it's the beginning of the year. There's been all kinds of announcements about the challenges for next year, year-long challenges. There's a year-long. There's a new group for Magical Stitches. If you want in, you better get in because they're gonna close it and they're not gonna let you in for the rest of the year. Um, there's a year-long challenge in there. There's the regular weekly and monthly challenges. They're playing a game of Clue this year. Uh, they're reading the Embroidery Mysteries by Amanda Lee. So there's that. Daily 30 has a new safari-themed year-long challenge this year, as well as the regular weekly and monthly challenges. There's the No New Starts group, which has 3 different tracks, and they have a year-long event for their members the road trip that I'm participating in. There's, I've kind of fallen off of semi-sane a little bit, but I'm gonna try to get back into doing some semi-sane stuff. And there's another group, Whip Go. I'm still gonna do Whip Go. I feel like I'm still missing a group, but um, so got all these challenges, and I try to make them all fit together because I know how I stitch, I know how I am, and I know that if I have to do separate stitches and separate projects for every challenge, it's never gonna work. I'm never gonna do it all. So I try to make them all work together, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this piece because I can use it for this group and this group and this group, and uh, I try to make them double dip. So my plans for next year are to do the challenges. For Daily 30, I'm going to use Moon Garden. I want to finish Moon Garden. Um, I'm going to use, I'll show you this. There's also some challenges I have going with friends. Um, this is Temperature Tree by Stitch and Mommy. And I only did a little bit of work on this year. The only reason I did any work on it is because I'm using it for next year. And I needed to get a little bit of it done. And I still haven't finished what I needed to do. But that's okay. It'll wait. So this is where I did some more of the trunk of the tree. I still got to do the base of the tree down here. But some friends and I are doing a challenge where we're taking a piece and dividing it into 12 parts and stitching 1 part each month. And this is perfect because it's a year-long project. It's got 12 branches for 12 months. So, hello. And then I'll have to put the base of the tree in there. And there's some leaves at the bottom too where you stitch the what's the word I'm looking for? The scale of the colors. So there's Temperature Tree by Stitch and Mommy. And this is also one of my daily 30 yearly projects. I've chosen these projects for daily 30. I'm actually kind of on the fence if I'm going to participate in the yearly. I don't know. So that's in the plans. That's a finish, I hope. And then the other piece I chose for that is Under the Evergreen, which will not be a finish. I showed that to you already. I won't show you again. It's the Christmas piece with the toys at the bottom. Um, and that's going to be a focus piece. I'm using that for several challenges. I want to finish page 1 and finish the border on page 3, so then it'll be half done. So that's going to be a focus piece. And then my work piece is going to be this one here, which I did not show you because I didn't do any work on it this year. My work project is going to be this. This is Retrievers by Jan Lin. This is also an old kit. If I knew where to get a legit PDF of this chart, I totally would do that. This is from 1987. I did not start it in 1987. I started like in 1996. This is my oldest whip now. Since the Victorian village is done, this is my oldest whip. This is going to be my work project. I'm going to take it to work. I'm going to work an hour and a half a week, 2 or 3 days I'm in the office. And try to make some progress on it. I do not like stitching on this piece. I do not know why. It could be the fabric. I don't think it's the fabric. It's Ada. Like, I don't generally go out and start new large projects on Ada. But I've had several old pieces that were on Ada, and I finished them and it was fine. I don't think it's the Ada. I think it might be the chart. I don't know. But so far I have not enjoyed stitching on this piece. This is why it only has 200 stitches on it. That looks sort of like a Chinese character. So that's how it ended up being my work project. It's 30 minutes a day, a couple times a week. I can do that. And we'll see how it goes. I still like the picture. I still want the picture. But the stitching on it, I have not loved it so far. And this, I had found a challenge to put this in. I don't remember, but I was like, oh, I could use retrievers for that. It's got to be something that doesn't need a lot of stitches because it's only, I'm only going to do 100, 150 stitches a week on it. Probably not 150, probably more like 100. But I had found a challenge to use it for, now I don't remember what it was. So my WIPCO plan on that is, or my WIPCO goal on that is 5,000 stitches. Because, 52 weeks at 100 stitches a week, that should get me to 5,000 stitches, right? This piece, I was on the fence about whether to include this piece because I'm in a challenge and it's one of 2 pieces that I have that meet the criteria of the challenge. And I'm like, but, I'm doing this 22 and 22 in the No New Starts group. So I'm like, whatever I do for challenge group A, I have to do for No New Starts. I have to put it on my 22 and 22. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to put it on there. I ended up doing it because challenge A got easier. Like, I'm like, okay, well, it'll be better if I do this, so let me go ahead and put it on there. So this is also going to be it'll get some progress next year. I don't know if it'll be a focus piece, but it'll probably get a good amount of progress. This is uh, Linus the Trick and the Treat by Prairie Moon. I started this when it came out in 2011. And this is what I've done on it. This fabric is Flopper by Pictureless Plus. And so that's where I am on it. And so this will get some attention next year. This is a small project. I haven't got stuff falling off my table here. This is a small project I started at the end of 2020. Didn't finish it. Didn't put it in no new starts because by the time I got to 200 stitches, it would have been done. And the end of 2020, I ran out. It seems kind of funny to say, but starting projects takes a lot of energy. And I ran out of energy and I ran out of time. And um, so I didn't want to have to bring this up to 200 stitches. So I just left it out. And it's been sitting there. So this is Tulip Egg by Mill Hill. And this will be an easy finish. Probably in January. And I have another small one that I wasn't able to find when I did my whip parade. I couldn't find it, but it's a little sweetheart tree kit. That's basically um it's basically in the same boat. There wasn't enough to warrant getting it into the challenge, but it's not that far from being done. So when I find that kit, I'm going to finish this one too. So the pieces that I hope to finish, I'm going to consult my list because I'll leave something out. I keep a list here on my phone of my whips. I want to finish The Littlest Fairy. I want to finish Temperature Tree, Moon Garden. When I finish Moon Garden, I'm going to pull a Stitch for Sweet Freedom out. Is there anything else on here that I wanted to finish? I want to finish the two Guild projects, the two Margaret Bendig projects, the Renaissance and the Stitcher's Kit. When I finish Renaissance, I'll pull. Oh, I didn't show you Stitcher's Kit. I showed it in my whip parade. I'll show you one here. This is Stitcher's Kit. This is another Margaret Bendig project. That when I finish Renaissance. Renaissance is that project. I'll put Stitcher's Kit in there. What else do I have here? Let's see, the Fairy, Moon Garden, A Stitch for Sweet Freedom, Renaissance, Stitcher's Kit, the Tulip Egg, and the little Sweetheart Tree project. I'm gonna make progress on Retrievers. I want to do two pages on the Three Things sampler. I'm gonna do my 5,000 stitches. Yeah, on Retrievers. I said that. I want to finish those two pages on Under the Evergreen. have a bunch of other stuff here that is kind of, maybe it'll come out. I don't know. I have, and all you can see all of these projects in my whip parade. Um, my kimono project by Donna Gallagher might come out. Another one of my whips that I couldn't find when I was doing my whip parade is My by the Dimensions Gold Collection Petite. If I can find her, maybe she'll come out. Um, my Mira, Savannah's Curtsy. I have two, Savannah and The Kiss. And I'm going to try to bring one of them out, probably Savannah. I'm a little bit undecided, but I've been kind of bugging Vicky at Reading and Stitching to stitch Savannah with me, so I'll probably do Savannah because I've been bugging her. Trade Winds, maybe we'll get some attention. Joy in the Journey might come out. I don't know. As far as new starts, because it's the end of a year of no new starts, so I'm ready to start something. And I'm a little bit worried that it's gonna I'm gonna start something and it's gonna open the floodgates. But I really don't want to do that. It sounds like fun, and I know it sounds like fun. I really don't want to do that because, well, 22 and 22, and um, I still want to keep my whip list kind of in check. I'm not trying to, I have 31-ish whips, and I'm not trying to explode it to 40 or 50. I'm trying to actually get it a little bit. So I'm trying to be careful with what I start and when. Um, so my New Year, New Start tomorrow is going to be Tomato Tomato by Hands On Design. And it's the little tray and the pincushion. And that's going to be my start tomorrow. This is the finishing materials. I took the stitching materials out and put them in a project bag. That will be my start tomorrow. I'm very excited. I'm going to start Blueberry Homecoming with Laura at some point during the year. When I finish my fairy, I want to start Hazel because she's adorable. Let me show you Hazel. I'm sure you've seen her. The Heaven and Earth design. Hazel's World Giraffe because she's adorable. I'm going to start her. I have this whole long list. In fact, I'll show you. See that? I have this whole long list I've been keeping of ideas for starts. I'm not going to start all of them. I promise you I'm not going to start all of them. I probably won't start more than 8 or 10 of them. But every time I think of, oh, that's something I might like to start, I put it on my list. And some of them are kitted. A lot of them are kitted or came as kits. Some of them are not. I have another list here. I went through my bag of kitted projects and I made a list of those. I got a whole bunch of kitted projects. So when I made my 22 and 22 list, I left a lot of space on it because I don't know what I'm going to want to stitch next year. I have some ideas for whips that I could pull out. I have a lot of ideas for starts. I don't know what I'm going to want to do, and I'm not trying to tie myself to something that I feel like I don't want to do that later. So I left a lot of blank space on my 22 and 22 list, so I can decide what I'm going to do. So I have some next year planned. Some of it will be a surprise. There are surprises every year. Whips that I didn't expect to start. Whips that hadn't been on the radar, and they end up getting pulled out, and some of them get finished. So I don't know, but I feel like I have a hair in my mouth. So I don't know. It'll be a surprise. But I'm excited to get started. I'm glad 2022 is here almost. I got about 6 hours, but I'm glad that it's here, and I'm excited. I hope it's a better year than definitely better than 2020, even better than 2021. Um, I hope it's going to be a good year for everyone and for stitching. So I'm excited to be able to start stuff. I'm excited to get some of these whips finished. What I really want to do with the new starts is I want to do my New Year New Start and finish this Tulip Egg, and if I can find the Sweetheart Tree project, finish that, and then just kind of cool it, and because I want to get some of these other projects finished. I want to finish my fairy, finish my moon garden, kind of work on getting some of these other projects done, and then figure out what I'm going to start. So I hope it's going to be a fun year, and I look forward to seeing all of you next year and seeing all of your stitching and participating in these challenges. And thank you for watching and liking and commenting and subscribing. And um, I appreciate all of you who come back to my channel, or if you're new to my channel. And I will see you next year. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2022.